Hello, Riverwest. Welcome to Riverwest Tech Quest, the show where we, AM and Bjorn, attempt to help you with your tech quest. And maybe you can help us with our tech quest by giving us a call. This is a call-in show, and we very much would appreciate your contributions and input.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about various topics today, like computer recycling and building a cheap computer that does what you need to do. And we're going to be introducing the show today. This is our first show, actually.
Yes, it's our first show, conceived of 24 hours ago, or...
Yeah, actually, Eric and I were sitting at Bremen Cafe, and Eric was working on some audio recording with his new Ubuntu Studio laptop, and I was upgrading.
Which is very cool.
And I was upgrading the hard drive on my laptop, and we're doing this in the middle of a cafe in Riverwest, and folks just kept coming up to us and randomly asking us technology questions. Like somebody was like, "Oh my God, Eric, what is that you are playing with? Because it looks alien to me." And that's Ubuntu Studio that we're talking about. And somebody was asking me about how to upgrade RAM on their laptop, and we kept getting these questions in the middle of the day, sitting in a Riverwest cafe, and finally, me and AM were like, I turned to him and I go, "Hey, AM, we should do a radio show," and he just kind of looked at me and he nodded. And so at that very point, we walk over to Riverwest Film and Video, the home of Radio Riverwest, and we talked to, we asked to talk to Zav, but he wasn't in. We talked to Nick. We talked to Nick, and we're like, "Hey, Nick, we have this idea for a radio show."
And he was like, "Go for it."
Yeah, he was totally like...
He was pumped.
Yeah.
Everyone's pumped. Everyone that we told about is pumped about this tech show.
For sure.
So everyone's doing it, so get on board.
Yeah.
It's great.
And like, I'm like, "So Nick, next Friday, we'll start next Friday." And Eric's like, "No, let's do it tomorrow." And I was like, "Really? We're going to do this tomorrow? Like, let's prepare an hour to talk about computer issues on the radio." And Eric's like, we'll wing it.
Yeah, so that's what you're hearing now. Well, we'll see how it goes. We're just going to do our best here, and we hope to be an asset for a community.
For sure. Everybody's got questions about computers. I mean, computers are one of those things where, in the 21st century, it's no longer being computer literate. It's just being literate, because applying for jobs, trying to get into college, trying to type a paper, you can't get away from the computer these days. So like the knowledge and the comfort level of working with a computer is so important. And these big box stores that are selling you these computers, they want to pay you $100 to have, just throw a disk in and put a Band-Aid on the issue. And there's no growth. There's no education with it. And learning to appreciate this thing that we apparently can't live without anymore. And so, Eric and I are just going to babble on about things that we think are important, but what we would much rather do is have the community call us up at 414-935-2951 and just, bring your questions to us, and we will try our very best to help you. We also have an email address. It's rwtechquest as in Riverwest Tech Quest. And we have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/rwtechquest. And anything posted on the Facebook or emailed to us or any calls, we'll answer those in this radio show.
Well, yeah. And hopefully this show will be good for like whatever your level of expertise is. If you're an expert, hey, come and join us and help us out.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm more of a I'm learning. I'm definitely not an expert. I'm more of a hobbyist. Bjorn's got more years of knowledge plugged into computers, so he'll be answering a lot more of the technical questions.
I mean, I've been in IT for almost 10 years now, but you know, it's I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I just I'll answer questions as best I can with the experience I have, you know. Like community-driven solutions take community.
Yeah, that's what the show is about, or an attempt to contribute to that process. So, yeah, we'll see.
So today, I think the first issue that we were going to talk about was recycling, right, Eric?
Yeah, recycling.
Yeah.
Recycling computers and other technology.
Yeah.
Your cell phones.
E-waste, as they call it.
Yes.
And e-waste is anything electronic, anything that uses like plastic and transistor-based, you know, motherboards, like cell phones, VCRs, televisions, CRT monitors. There are. What are you looking at, Eric?
Oh, you should hit the start broadcast button.
What?
Start broadcast.
Start broadcast. I already clicked it.
Hi. Good. How are you?
Oh, really?
Yeah, the audio stream was going.
The audio stream was going, but we didn't have video?
The Ustream wasn't going.
Oh, well,
Oh, okay.
do you care about video?
No, actually.
Oh, okay. Right on. Right on.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyways, a lot of people don't know this, but it became the law, what was it, like a year or two ago? Where it is illegal to throw e-waste into your garbage.
Yeah, I wasn't really following this myself, but apparently there's receptacles that you can just go and toss your computers into. Is that right? Or like in various spots? Your old or do you know?
I don't know if the city is actually doing a e-waste drop-off. I know like the big thing right now is that like a lot of private shops will take recycling in. And actually, while I talk about this, Eric, if you want to actually look that up and see what the Milwaukee recycling law is.
Sure.
So that's our answers on the fly right there. Eric kind of got me in a catch-22. I'm like, man, do I remember what Milwaukee's policy is to try to facilitate proper e-waste recycling? And we don't have any extra bins, not at least in my block. But there are places out there that will take e-waste, and they are not all created equal. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about why you should recycle e-waste. In 2009, there were 500 million obsolete computers in the United States. In the next 10 years, there's going to be 1 billion of them. And they are already, that's a doubling, by the way. And they are already the second most common item in landfills. But e-waste has a lot of toxic materials. CRTs, they contain lead. when those CRTs break down, like the glass smashes, the plastic breaks down, rain will have that lead get into the water supply. Batteries contain lithium. Those batteries slowly break down, and that lithium gets into our water supply. Not to mention cadmium, mercury, beryllium. I mean, tons of these toxic materials. So when you just throw away that battery or throw away that CRT because you either don't know why recycling is important or you don't know how to, I mean, we're talking about major stuff like having lead in our water supply is a major health risk for the city.
Yeah, I have some of that information. In Milwaukee, you can take them. We have free electronics recycling at the self-help centers, which will take TVs, computers, desktop printers, computer accessories, DVD players, VCRs, computer monitors, mice and keyboards, fax machines, and cell phones.
For free. Wow.
And that is, we've got 2 locations. It's 6660 North Industrial Road and 3879 West Lincoln Avenue.
So South Side and Industrial Road, where's that?
Yeah, so we don't know exactly what happens to these after you take them there, but
Well, I mean, just recycling them is a huge benefit. I mean, right now, only 38% of computers are getting recycled in this country, and 17% of televisions. That's just an atrocious rate. So if we have 500 million more obsolete computers that are going to get into these, going to become obsolete in the next 10 years, and we continue to recycle at 38%, you know, that's a lot of toxic material that we're putting into our environment. But your waste, your obsolete electronics can be someone else's gain. There are other options besides recycling.
yeah, the best thing to do is just find out somebody who wants it and give it to them, and or reuse old machines for another purpose.
Yeah, I mean, there's nonprofits that will do vocational training. They will teach people, say, out of prison or like young kids out of jail, like homeboys, and they will take these computers and they will use them to do vocational training, teach a young person a skill set so that they don't go back into jail. And having computers being reused is actually better than recycling, because recycling costs carbon.
Yeah, then you don't have to go out and buy a new one, which eventually will obviously be.
So that's if you fix it up yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like a lot of these nonprofits, they'll then, after they do the vocational training, they'll give these computers that they fixed up to school systems, which there's a lot of hurting school systems in this current budget climate, and they can use these computers. So anybody that can think of ways or knows of a nonprofit that will take recycling, man, that is number one. That is way better than taking it to recycling. And if somebody wants to post something on our Facebook,
We spoke with Milwaukee PC today, and apparently they're more than happy to take.
that might be our first
We
call.
got some callers maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were happy. They'd be happy to have you come in, bring your old stuff in. They'll talk to you about maybe giving you a discount on your new purchase, and they'll attempt to recycle the parts of your old computer that are still usable, which is always better than nothing, you know.
I used to work as like a local computer shop manager. We won't say who I worked for, but we would try to reuse the parts, like resell them. So we'd be like,
Sure.
free computer recycling, and people would bring in their computers, and we'd rip out the RAM,
Sure.
resell the RAM, and try to reuse the hard drive. And that's great and all, but the parts we couldn't use, late at night we were getting rid of that stuff, and it wasn't getting recycled. So
Yeah.
when you're giving these to these local shops, you don't want to give it to like an unsavory shop. So I did a little bit of investigating, a little bit of calling around town, and I tried to figure out where was the best place. Like, if you don't know a nonprofit, if you don't want to take it to the city and have it be, compressed for raw materials, where would be the best commercial place to take it in town? And I think Eric agrees with me that we thought that Milwaukee PC had the best sell. They try to reuse as many of the parts as they can. They're committed to trying to keep computers in use as long as possible. And what they can't use, they try to give away to. They had the storage place that they kept them at. And like monitors, which they couldn't use. They charge $5 to take monitors, but they're making sure that they're getting recycled by eco-friendly recyclers. Like, they're not just going to give it to a big compressor who's going to, put it in a centrifuge and sell the raw materials and the toxic waste to China.
Yeah, unfortunately, what happens with a lot of these e-waste recyclers is they just take the old things and ship them to China, and then kids are like, that's their livelihood, is to sort through these
toxic
and try to salvage these parts, and that's just not a good thing. It's not acceptable. I wanted to talk a little bit about that because obviously we aren't dealing with the problem in the right way. But there are people that are working on trying to change that, and there's something.
The problem being, what do we do with all this e-waste is the problem. And
yeah. Well, it's called the Basel Convention, and basically what it's going to do is going to say to manufacturers and designers that you're responsible for what you put out there. So it'll change the process, and we'll get us starting thinking about this from day one, rather than just having it be an afterthought that we can't deal with after the fact. So I'd recommend looking into that.
Could you explain more? Like, what is I'm unfamiliar with the Basel Convention.
Well, this is my understanding of it. I guess a lot of other countries have passed it. Like, it's passed in Europe, but the United States is blocking it. They're not signing on to it. But it's basically, the basic idea is that manufacturers have to be responsible for what they put out there, and they have to. So when they design a product, they make it so it'll be easily recycled after it's done. So
kind of like how Macs are built.
What's that?
Macs are built out of 100, almost near 100% recyclable material. They still have some toxic elements.
Right.
And then Apple also has a buyback program.
Right.
So not that I'm officially endorsing Apple, but it sounds like
they're on the right track.
Apple is starting to move towards something that would be more Basel Convention supported.
Yeah, I would guess so.
So like, the Basel Convention would be a kind of manufacturer responsibility for e-waste. So a buyback program, so that you can get some money off for returning your stuff to a manufacturer.
Yeah, it changes the whole. The idea is just to say to designers, hey, we can do better than this. Don't. If there's another way, use your wits to design it more efficiently and just without all this toxic material, if possible.
And if the designers don't design it better, it sounds like something that you might want to write your congressperson about.
Yeah, well, I think as a society, we really need to start thinking more along these lines. So hopefully we'll pass this in the next couple of years.
For sure. And I just want to go back to like the Milwaukee PC thing. Like, after talking with like a lot of these guys today, a lot of these people from the local computer shops. I don't know about you, but I wasn't really getting the gauge that there was a level of consciousness of the necessity of having a really eco-friendly e-waste, except for from Walkie PC. They seem to be pretty like, yeah, we totally hear what you're saying, And that was really good to hear, especially from a local business,
Yeah, perhaps we'll maybe we'll hear from some other people who have some other ideas.
Oh man, that would be awesome to get some other input on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what else did you want to talk about, Eric?
Oh, well, let's talk about being a consumer. How do you best get around, preserve your pocketbook and get a nice computer these days? What would you recommend for that?
Oh, the age-old question, like, so you're working at a computer repair shop, and it's like one of those, like, not fairy tale, one of those questions you hear like every day. Somebody always comes into the shop and they say, "What kind of laptop should I get?" And whenever I hear that, the first thing I think is, well, I don't think that's the question you really wanted to ask. The real question is, what do I need a computer for?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it?
Because I'm a pretty heavy computer user, but like, I don't know. On my laptop, I don't like to play video games, and I don't do like a lot of hardcore processing, and so I get by with a 7-year-old laptop, and that's running OS X on it. If I really wanted to, I could get by on a 10-year-old laptop running, Ubuntu as my as AM does here. He runs the Ubuntu. But the real, getting back to the question is, when they ask you what kind of laptop should I buy, I always ask, well, what do you want to do with it? Because what do most people do with their laptops?
Surf the internet, email, usually pretty modest. You don't really need a lot for it.
Yeah, I mean, computing power is getting so powerful. It's crazy. Like, they have quad-core cell phones now.
So you don't need to go out and get the latest blazing fast.
No, they'll tell you that you should get the latest and greatest blazing fast. What they're really trying to do is get their sales percentage.
But the longer you wait, the better it's going to be.
So
but you have to buy something at some point, so you might as well do it cheaply.
Well, so rule number 1 is know what you need. Like, you need to know what tasks are the big takers. Like, what tasks would I possibly be doing on this computer that would actually require some horsepower? For instance, if you're a graphic artist and you're doing large posters, some of those images, they can be 100, 200 megs, and you probably want a little bit of beef to deal with that, at least as far as RAM and processor. Otherwise, editing that image is going to take forever. And then we talk about video editing, which, video editing, you're editing lots of pictures and sound. And so video editing takes a little more beef. So if you're doing like big posters as a graphic artist, or you're doing a lot of video editing, then you're going to want to look at getting like a standalone video card. You would ask, your salesperson, does this have a standalone video card? And honestly, with video editing, a 5-year-old standalone video card is going to do it for you. You're more concerned about does it do Does it take the input from the device I'm putting into it? Like, does it take S video? Does it take HDMI? However you're feeding the video into the machine, that's what you're more concerned about. But that being said, so video, large images, yeah, video games, you're going to want a standalone video card. And then you're talking about, you know, a moderate to high price machine. But for the vast majority of people, they don't need the new machine. They can get by with a 5-year-old machine. And a lot of people are going to hear that right now, and they're going to say, no, that's not true. I have a brand new machine, and all I do is check my email, and it takes forever. But there are a lot of things that slow a machine down, and it's not necessarily the hardware.
Yeah, I found after I switched to Ubuntu, definitely ran a lot faster.
Well, there's so much crapware, and forgive me for saying, you know, crap, but there's so much advertisement software in Windows. Not to mention, you know, the people who are writing viruses, the vast majority of them are doing them for Windows-based operating systems.
So yeah, I would advocate you looking into a Linux, which is open source and free. It sells itself.
Or if you're afraid of Linux, like a lot of people are, there are Chromebooks, which are like they're Linux for people that don't want to do Linux, you know. And those are pretty speedy.
And if you go to like Best Buy and or one of the major places, and you just buy a computer and it's got Windows on it, and you're led to believe it comes for free, but actually that price is built into the cost of your computer that you're buying there. So
For sure.
you might want to look into like knowing what operating system you really need or want to use before you buy a new computer, and you can opt out of that system. We don't need it really. You can do most tasks on Linux, and I've been really happy with it so far.
Yeah, and Eric's actually in this not as like explicitly a tech person. I mean, Eric's a computer hobbyist, and so would you consider yourself a computer nerd?
No.
Eric? No.
Not at all.
Have you like ever done anything command line?
Not really.
And honestly, truthfully, like, what's your feeling on how easy it was to switch from Windows to Linux?
It's very easy.
It still took you. It didn't. I mean, it didn't happen overnight for you, though.
Yeah. And I guess the hardest thing is it's catching on. The more people that use it, the easier it'll be, I think.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So, but I was lucky enough to have a few friends who are pretty well versed in it, and they helped me along on it.
But back to what you were saying a couple minutes ago, you kind of touched on what I would say is rule number 2 when looking for a computer, and that's know where to get it. Before I got into computers, I wanted to like buy my first laptop, and I walked into Best Buy, and I shouldn't use like exact store names, but I walked into a big box store, and man, that guy was slicker than a used car salesman. He wanted to give me the biggest, brightest, and shiniest thing. Cheapest laptop you'll ever find in Best Buy is probably going to be about $300, and that's for like a very slimmed down netbook, like something with a 7-inch screen, a small keyboard.
I actually got my laptop at Best Buy. It was like $300. This one right here.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't know. You can usually do better, I guess. Probably. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, there's great places to find computers out there, like Amazon or Newegg.com, which has amazing customer service.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Amazing customer service. I've bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff from there as a computer shop manager. And if you're looking to go really cheap, there's things like Craigslist or eBay, which I say really slowly as a key to Eric to chime in.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of experience buying on Craigslist. It could be a good, it's a nice local marketplace, you know. It's kind of a buyer beware situation because you're, you know, dealing with, who knows who you're dealing
Individuals.
with. Individuals,
That's
yes.
really scary. Individuals. So you don't
It
want
may
to
or
do.
may not be, you know.
I mean, you wouldn't want to buy a laptop in a dark parking lot behind a Denny's. You know, like that's, you know, you got to have like the.
I would want to if I could get a free Moons over Miami with it.
What's that?
It's like, whatever.
Oh, right on.
They're, I've never had it.
It's like a Denny's dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
Out of the dumpster. If they had Moons over Miami in the dumpster, I would eat it.
post-consumerism.
Post-consumer, reduce.
Oh man, if you want to talk about where to really get a cheap laptop, so when all these kids move out of the dorms in like a week or two, I like to ride around on my bike with like a messenger bag and I just kind of cruise. And every year I am able to find enough computer parts to at least build one computer. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Come on, kids. You know, let's not just waste everything just because we're moving.
For sure. But it's, 2 weeks away. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. So if you're
Even
really...
though it's a really cool thing for people.
If you're really hard up for a computer and you're from Riverwest, trust me, go down to the east side in the next week or so, cruise around on your bike, find some computers, take them home. If you can't use them, please recycle them properly because the the east side kids aren't going to do it. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That they didn't do it is what I meant to say because it's already on the curbside. But who knows? You might get a computer out of it. I've been able to build many computers from what I've found on curbsides. And your local Riverwest Tech Quest would be more than happy to help you if you ran into a problem trying to build your dumpstered computer and you called us up, and we would try to help you get it going and get it going to something that you can use to be productive with.
Okay, here's some of your other advice here that Bjorn has. Don't buy it with a big hard drive and lots of RAM. It's better just to add that afterwards.
Oh, we totally jumped around there, didn't we?
That's all right.
I got out of tangent.
We're winging it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you want to just elaborate on that point for a second?
This is something that's really important, especially in the Mac world. I've been a long time Mac user, and man, if you buy from Mac a new computer with a big hard drive and a lot of RAM, you are spending way too much money. Way too much money. You should either be buying that off the Mac refurb website, or you should be buying that off like eBay used, and then you buy it with as small of a hard drive or RAM as you can get. Then you go to Newegg and you buy the RAM and the hard drive for like a tenth of the price.
Really?
And then you throw it in yourself, and boom, what would have cost you $2,000 just only costed you $1,000, which honestly in my mind's $800 too much. But hey, Macs are shiny. That's the way to do it though, especially in the Mac world. But it's true at Best Buy too. A lot of the laptops that they will sell for cheap, if you look up online, they can take way more RAM. And of course, they can take larger hard drives. So you can buy that $200 netbook, like the one that we use to stream here, and you buy it for $200. You pop in say a 2 terabyte hard drive for actually a 1 terabyte hard drive because it's a netbook for $100. And then you drop in 4 gigs of RAM, or a lot of netbooks cap out at 2, but the good ones cap out at 4. And suddenly you've just doubled your amount of RAM and, multiplied your hard drive space by a lot. And you've only spent less than $400 on a rock and roll laptop that'll get you, 12 hours of battery time. You can store everything you got on it, and it'll open Photoshop and Windows Media Player without skipping a beat. So, especially if you put Linux on. But yeah, I mean that's how I do it. That's how I do it. Another good tip is know how to keep it going, especially if you're a Windows user, and increasingly more with Macs, is if you're downloading lots of software, like lots of junkware that you're like, oh, look at this shiny piece of software. What is this? This is really cool. It's going to sync my Google Calendar to my TweetPic Dropbox account or whatever, that's me trying to actually sound silly when I'm saying it. But all that software, if you're not uninstalling it and then using a proper program to clean it up, that just sits there and it slows it down.
And stuff. Is that as true on Linux?
It is true on Linux as well. It's not as bad of an issue, but everything that starts up in the background is taking up system resources continuously, and everything you install is taking up hard drive space. So the people that have the best computing experience, they use it like a tool. They have a very Zen-like minimalism with how they use their computer, and every piece of software that they're installing, they say, do I really need this? Because who knows? Like, there's software conflicts out there. Like, one piece of software might screw with another piece of software, and that makes your life more miserable. That's, when you're waking up trying to stream Meet the Press at 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and it takes you 8 minutes for your computer to start up. That's from all that junk that you put on it. And
yeah, you're like, funk that. I'm just gonna turn on the TV.
Getting close there.
I didn't go over the line though.
I have a strict PG rule on this radio program, so that's just me personally, though.
Okay.
Another thing is, this is kind of like an edgy topic for some people to talk about, but most, let's call them adult websites, which, having managed a computer shop, I can tell you everybody goes on them. I mean, Southern Baptist preachers would come in and, we're cleaning up their computer, and it gives you a heart attack. But they are notorious for putting lots of junk on your computer. Adware, viruses, just like temporary stuff. They run so many ads, and if you're running an adult website, you probably aren't too picky about who you're advertising from or advertising for. So as shady as the adult website may or may not be, the advertisers usually and almost always are. The advertisements usually and almost always are. And so subscription-based websites, if it ain't worth paying the money, you're probably going to be paying for the virus removal. I mean, seriously.
Really?
Seriously. That's another reason to use Linux or Mac, is that...
guilt-free porn.
Yeah.
That should sell. That should sell Linux.
That should sell Linux?
Ubuntu.
I really hope that isn't what makes Linux the desktop of choice. But that being said, most people use Windows and need Windows. And if you're going to look at adult websites, either subscribe. But if you're not going to subscribe, use a non-standard browser. Like there's Google Chrome or Firefox, and they have this beautiful feature called incognito window, or private browsing in Firefox, and it'll sandbox your browser a little bit better. And just not being Internet Explorer, which is completely integrated with the operating system, by being a third-party browser, there is a slightly more inherent security level to that. And then you can also do things like run an AdBlock Plus plugin or NoScript, which that will not allow certain things to run in your web browser that may harm your computer. So if you get really savvy for it, if you put the AdBlock Plus in, if you put the NoScript into your Firefox or Google Chrome, if you prefer that, you will have a much better experience. But even that isn't perfect. Even that isn't perfect.
Okay, another line of advice you have here is a cheaper computer is better than an insurance plan.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of insurance in general. So this is kind of like a personal philosophy of mine.
Especially like those that you buy like at Best Buy or whatever, and they try to sell it to you as you're buying it.
Yeah.
Those are generally just a scam, to get more money out of you, because
I once bought a laptop. Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
Because usually they come with a warranty anyways, so I don't know. It's usually kind of
Hello.
Where did you get that?
just the idea to wrangle a little bit more cash out of you. So
Where did you get that?
I think we would recommend just skipping that if you're gonna buy from one of those places.
Most definitely. Like as Eric was saying, they tend to have a manufacturer warranty, which is usually about 90 days standard. So if you get it home and you realize this keeps crashing, I keep getting a blue screen, you probably have like bad RAM or a bad video card.
Yeah, either it's
And-
gonna fail right away, or it's usually it's gonna last you a pretty long time. That's just the way electronics are built.
Right. Yeah. But these insurance plans that you get, they have a lot of gotchas in it. For instance, I bought one on my iPhone, and man, I loved my iPhone. But then I decided to go surfing with my iPhone in my surfing shorts.
Oh no!
And apparently, water damage was not covered on my insurance plan. I'm not kidding you.
You weren't going web surfing and you got confused, were you?
Yeah, I was trying to go web surfing and I fell in the ocean. I mean, that's a really extreme example, and Apple got a lot of flack for that, and they've tried to change it. But honestly, like, it's the lawyers developing these insurance plans, and they find the most craziest ways to get you on them. Not to mention, I bought a laptop from Best Buy, and I got an insurance plan on it. I mean, this is like way back in the day when I first started getting into computers, and I'm like, oh man, I'm doing all this like web development on this laptop. I want to make sure that it's insured. Not the smartest thing in the world. When I took it in, they had my laptop for 5 months. 5 months. And I had, a lot of stuff that I didn't have backed up on the laptop. And it never came back the same. So my recommendation is to do two things. One, use cloud storage. Like Google Drive will give you 5 gigabytes, or Cubby will give you 5 gigabytes plus unlimited between if you have multiple machines. So it'll sync between multiple machines. And Dropbox will give you 2. And that's a great way to prevent data loss in case that laptop gets damaged. And then if you buy just what you need just to get by, and you try to stay away from the things that we said prior that may give you viruses, like chainmail, clicking on attachments from chainmail, downloading kitty screensavers, going to adult websites that might be unsavorable.
Child porn. No, just kidding. You wouldn't do that.
No, none of our listeners would do that. Then your computer can have less horsepower and still perform better than the person that isn't making the intelligent decision and buying the latest and greatest. And then when your laptop does break, you're like, yeah, it hurts. It's a $200 laptop or it's a $300 laptop. But you know what? That insurance plan would have cost you $200 to $300, you know? So that's why I think insurance is not the hippest thing to do.
Lame.
Yeah. Did any of that make sense, Eric? I mean,
No.
no.
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's see.
The last rule is don't be afraid to ask questions. The most beautiful thing about the computer community is that it's willing to share.
Yeah, I have not I've not gotten into the cloud as of yet. What advice would you have to like you're pretty confident in concerns with storing your stuff in the cloud, privacy issues.
What do you mean? Oh, privacy issues.
I don't know.
It's a numbers game. Eventually there is going to be a security break. It's inevitable on something. But the more people use it, the more numbers there are. And so the chances of information breach become more minimal. I mean, you take a risk every time you step outside, every time you go outside of your house. You take a risk of, getting hit by an anvil falling from the sky. And internet security with cloud storage from a reputable source is kind of the same thing. Now, granted, if you are really security minded, like you've had identity theft in the past, or you have really important documents, giving that information to Google might not be the best thing in the world. Like if you have a file where you keep your bank account and your routing number and your credit card number and your CSV code, and then you put it up on Google Drive or Dropbox or Cubby, that's not recommended. But
Okay.
but pictures of your family that you might not want to get out there, honestly, man, it breaks my heart when somebody comes into the shop and they're like, I only had my pictures on this laptop that fell off our yacht. And I'm like, why did you have your laptop on a yacht? And they're like, I don't know, but I just lost all my wedding photos and my graduation photos and my first pregnancy photos. Yeah, you don't want those in the hands of, some person that you might be, you don't want that in the hands of a stranger. But then again, it's worth the risk to put those kinds of things up onto cloud storage, because losing memories like that, photos like that, it's a heartbreak, and it's something you'll never get back. And that's what cloud storage is great for. It's not great for bank account number type stuff. It's great for family photos, resumes, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, we were really afraid that we wouldn't have enough information because we did absolutely no preparation for this television show, and we've managed to make it 49 minutes through the bulk of our topics. And at the end of the show, we're gonna do like a 10-minute conclusion. So this actually this worked out pretty good, I would say. Eh?
Do you want to play the theme song?
The theme song?
Yeah, I could
Just
play
for a second?
Yeah, we could play it.
So Eric Frank made this theme song. What software did you use to create a theme song?
AM used he used Ardor. Yeah, that's me.
AM used Ardor.
Well,
Where did you get Ardor?
It's it's part of. Originally, I just downloaded it. It's part all Linux program. but it works well with a bunch of other programs that you can get if you want to install the Ubuntu Studio on your computer. I would recommend it. It's got a lot of audio and video production programs already just built in, and they all work pretty well together. Takes a little bit of learning, but
And it's free.
it's free. Yeah. So, anyways, here we go. Right.
Riverwest Radio. Tech Quest. And that's our show for the evening. My name is Bjorn, and I was very happy to have AM with me this evening to kind of facilitate this. So we will be on next week from 8 to 9 p.m. And next week, if no one calls us in, we're going to be talking a little more about the projects that Eric's done in Linux. And we're going to have a full section on how to avoid viruses, which are the things that make your computer slow.
Yeah, maybe we should give out the contact. What's the email address? Our email address?
Our email address is rwtechquest. That's RW as in Riverwest, tech, T-E-C-H, quest @gmail.com. We will respond to every email that's sent to us in some way. We also have a phone number here where you can reach us during the show. The phone number here is 414-935-2951. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/RWTechQuest. We would love to hear from you, Riverwest. We would love to help you through any computer problems you would have. We would love to interview anybody that would like to discuss things about technology. Are you doing something really cool, like a home automation DIY project? You've composed something in Linux that you would like to share with us? We want this to be a community-driven program.
And next week or the following week, you're going to have a more of an in-depth presentation on discussion of Linux.
Actually, I was hoping that we would have you go in more depth about the projects that you've been doing in Ubuntu Studio.
Oh, next week?
Because Riverwest has so many musicians, and
Sure.
Eric can build a free recording and video editing and teach you how to use it. So, yeah, that'll be really cool. We'll talk about all the stuff that Eric's been doing in Ubuntu Studio. And then in the latter half of the show, I will be talking about how one avoids viruses in this day and age. So it should be interesting. And if any of you send us an email or decide to call us or Facebook us, we will do this.
Oh, somebody's calling now. Oh, who could that be?
How does this work? Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. Why are we getting the music?
I don't know.
Let's try. Hello?
Hey, oh, can you hear me?
Try now, Eric.
Hello?
Oh, awesome.
Cool. So now we know how that works.
So that's Eric calling our telephone numbers.
Let's see. Yes, how do you use the phone system here?
Well, yeah, we'll get better at this. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Riverwest.